we are live here with some CKL doubleheader primetime. We got a Division 6 matchup with the New Mexico State University Aggies against the Buena Vista University Beavers. My name is Spice, and I'm joined on the mic by Sunset from Kutztown. How are we doing tonight?
I am so excited to be here. Not only am I well-versed in the lower rungs of the divisions here, as I am in D5 myself, this is also my first time on the mic for CKL, so this is a big moment for me. I'm really excited to be here.
And we're happy to have you on as well. And you talked about big moments, but there's not much bigger than what we got here. In this Division 6 matchup, we got two teams which are going into this game undefeated. And that's very rare. I don't know if we've ever seen this, and it's at least the first time I ever got to see it here on primetime, at least in a mid-season matchup. And these two teams are looking to be like championship favorites, and I'm so excited to see it. And like you mentioned yourself, you're playing in like the D5 level there. So what is it like here? Like, what are these teams probably thinking, knowing that's like the first time like on the big stage here?
Oh, I know there's definitely going to be some nerves, but I have a feeling that everybody is going to do just fine. Prime time is just another fancy word for just being out there and playing your game. Doesn't matter that you're on the big screen, just lock in and focus. I know both teams are going to do absolutely gorgeous tonight, and it is kind of sad that we are going to have to kiss goodbye somebody's undefeated record, but I know that this means this is going to be a fight that you need to keep your eye on.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And like, we're going to talk about the players here when we get a chance to look at these lineups, because there's so much talent in this division. It's actually insane.
Oh, yeah.
From the Aggies, Toffee, Mr. H5, Cherry Cola, Sweet Tea, Savage Dog, Mickle, and then from BVU, Dead Zone, Parker, NC, G4A, Office Star, and Fro to all. Like, the names here are just absolutely insane. New Mexico State, like all 6 of their players are in the top 20. BVU, 4 of them are in the top 10. There's so much talent here. It's absolutely amazing.
Now, 2 names that you're going to want to keep your eye on at home. If we're looking at NMSU, you're going to want to look at Toffee. They have the top average here of 150 points. That is very difficult to do in any division, especially in a division where you're brand new, so shout out to them. On the other side, then, you have NC, who is 3rd overall with an average of 137. So those are both going to be your heavy hitters, probably more likely not your runners. So keeping an eye on what they're doing, kind of opening up opportunities for their team. But there's going to be some unsung heroes in the back, too. I mean, I personally bag a lot, so I'm going to be keeping my eye on that. But you can't really count anybody out here. It is going to really be anyone's game going in.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And one other thing that I'm super excited to see is that there's a lot of character diversity between these two teams. I've been watching these tables come in, and I'm looking here and just watching those screenshots. I'm like, Funky Kong, Toad, Rosalina, and then like some Shy Guys. And it's like, oh, as much as I love the Yoshi meta, seeing Birdo and all the princesses, seeing so much character diversity is so cool at this point. And they're all playing incredibly well. So the talent and the fundamentals, it go way past what we perceive as just character viability.
You know, there's something special about a team that can do as well as both of these teams are doing without, quote-unquote, like, depending on the meta. I know there's a lot of people that tend to say, like, oh, well, if you want to get good, you have to play Yoshi, you have to play Birdo. But that's not true, and I love seeing these people make names for themselves, not using the meta, and really just standing out and putting their foot down on, yes, I am going to play Shy Guy, and yes, I am the best player in the league. It just really lights my heart up, because I'm an Iggy Koopa main. There's only 2 of us in the entirety of CKL, as far as I can tell. So just kind of like spreading the character diversity there makes our job easier on the desk, but also just kind of, you know, brings a little bit of a smile to your day. You're not constantly hearing Yoshi in your ears, and it's a good time for everybody around.
And it's actually such a good point, honestly, and I'm so excited for that. You have like the diversity there, and so many different ways to just really showcase this awesome talent that we have across all levels of play. But eventually, we're going to be getting into the room and seeing like what the spots are, and hopefully getting into the game as soon as possible. But in the meanwhile, I'm excited here. I think I got to give the go-ahead to both these teams that they're able to play. So assuming we're all good on technical and here from the stream, I don't know what we got going in terms of like predictions or like who's even the favorite because both these teams feel so evenly matched up right now.
Yeah, it's really hard. Like, I know a lot of like lower division matches. Usually, there's like a clear cut winner. You can tell, like, oh, this person has experience, so you know the rest of their team is going to be like crushed, quote unquote, by them. But that is just not true in D6 at all. You really have to keep your eye on everybody, and especially with this match, where like both of these teams have these crazy wide margins between their opponents. Looking at my examples here, uh, New Mexico had a match where they got 342 points over their opponent. That is very seldom seen in any division, let alone Division 6. And on the other side of that, same opponent, the Beavers got 284. Usually, you want your match to be as close as possible, you know, but sometimes you're going to have heavy hitters, excuse me, who just really go for it. So, if both of these teams being heavy hitters, this is going to be an absolute bloodbath. And I'm so excited to see where this goes.
That's so true. It should be a bloodbath. And I was thinking about this before the stream started, but like we have later tonight we have a Division 1 matchup between two teams which have a long
Oh, yes.
history in the collegiate scene. But now in D6 with two brand new teams, we have teams looking to make their own mark on history. And it's so awesome getting to see like the talent of this level and really the talent across this entire scene. It like BVU is one of them. There's like now like 3, 4 schools from Iowa, which I was unheard of until a few months ago. New Mexico
Yeah.
has now 2 teams here as well. So there's a lot of talent across the entire US and there's a couple teams in Canada too. So when we eventually get into this match, like this is going to be absolutely electric. Like, don't be fooled by Division 6. These 2 teams have a lot of talent, and it's really exciting going to be getting a chance to showcase that.
Oh, I definitely agree. And seeing more representation of the western side of the United States as well is just really charming. I know a lot of people tend to hear about the eastern side. A lot of us included are pretty active in the scenes. We'll go to each other's lands and stuff, but that doesn't mean the West isn't doing anything either. I know University of Nebraska hosted their own event a couple of weeks ago. Amazing event if you were able to get out to it. It was absolutely gorgeous. So if you have the like determination and the heart in your collegiate scene, you can really make some magic happen. I mean, even Kutztown didn't exist until me and a couple of other people started attending Kutztown. This didn't exist until other people started coming up. So seeing it just grow and become this huge thing, like 6 divisions, that is crazy. Because you think about how many teams go into a division and then how many colleges we're all bringing together and spreading the love and joy of Mario Kart for everybody. That is just gorgeous. And I'm really excited to see where it goes, especially with like the West. I know there's not a lot of people there like that we're aware of that we maybe not know, but this is a big deal. People are starting to put themselves on the map here, and they're gonna start making names for themselves just like the people on the eastern side too.
Oh yeah, and like it's a lot of shout outs to like the Midwest and the West Coast for really developing their scene so fast. Because I know a lot of the teams when we first established CKL were on the east side, but the West has definitely proven to be amazing in terms of talent, and it's been showcased like all over. Then you see the California schools putting in a ton of work. New Mexico, University of New Mexico coming in last season as well, having a great run in their season, and then really just across the board. There's a lot of new teams as well. You look in D5, Idaho coming out of nowhere, one of those like stronger teams, and like the Midwest has like other groups as well. You have multiple Iowa teams, you have Eastern Kentucky. So we're really broadening the horizons here at CKL and just further expanding this. So that's really cool hype. And I'm incredibly happy, especially as someone who's like been in the scene pretty much since its inception, on at least in the collegiate side of things, to see how far this scene is growing and knowing we're only going up. I'm so happy.
Yeah, I mean, I've been around for a bit. Like, I've been around the block, one could say, but just being able to see how much has grown in the short time that I've been here and knowing that it's going to grow even further, it's just truly something that's pretty magical, I'd like to think.
Oh yeah, definitely. It is really magical just getting a chance to know that the scene is growing as much as it is, and you are seeing like a lot of different like diversity here, whether it be the people themselves, what they're studying, how they play this fun video game. There really is just a lot of great ways to talk about the scene. I can gush over this as much as possible. From what I'm hearing, we're waiting on a couple more players to get in as we get a chance to look into this lobby. And now, one thing
Oh, I
I
love
will
these
point out,
knees.
yeah, actually, those memes are amazing. But another thing I want to point out is the thing I love about the entry level of like competitive Mario Kart, you see a lot of things that are kind of like not the typical from what we're used to seeing, especially when it
Hmm.
comes to a couple things. One, we have for Buena Vista, we have a split screen POV, so we can see double the action at the same time, which is kind of awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of people try to clown on playing split screen, but if you gotta do it, you gotta do it. And it does make a cool viewing experience for everybody here at home. So can you really be mad about it at this point?
That's a great point, actually. Yeah, it is actually super easy for like on the eyes, honestly, because you get to see two things at the same time. It's like, especially because you're on the same team, you see coordination happen in the moment, which is not
Oh
something you
yeah.
really get to see like all the time. Like this goes beyond like shock calls and all that, because like, oh, you see shock and a dodge on two separate screens. That's actually pretty cool. But then you'll occasionally see things like, oh, people passing around to like, let's say, red out an enemy, and there's like that kind of like coordination there. And I know I've seen New Mexico State at least play a couple times now. I've watched Buena Vista as well. There's Despite the D6 label, there is some amazing fundamental play going on already here. And like I'm seeing insane like shock plays and like team play overall, which team play is incredibly difficult to build, especially at the entry
Oh yeah.
level.
I mean, when you think about like being quote unquote new to a scene, now we don't know whether there has been Mario Kart at these colleges beforehand. There may have been, there may have not been, but just seeing how quickly everybody has developed and grown along the way, whether you're in Division 6 or you're in Division 1, just really proves like why it's so important that we're doing what we're doing tonight by shining some love on our maybe less appreciated matches and brackets, but they are just as important as your like star studders.
It's so true. And like one thing I will always point out is that this is where you start to see the stars being made. Like I
Yeah.
remember Oklahoma last year at this time in the fall, Division 3, and then look at where they are now, Division 1. Florida International, Division 3, a year later, Division 1, UNI, D3. And at this point, remember Division 3 was the lowest division. And now you
Mhm.
see there's three different D3 teams already in Division 1, and they have made such big leaps compared to where they were. I still remember seeing some of these Division 3 teams like unironically picking like Yoshi Valley or Electrodrome in like top spots, and I'm like, this is a bold pick. And now you just see a lot of the evolution, like kind of in front of your own eyes, which is something I'm always incredibly happy to see, especially at this level.
Yeah, like it's neat if you start right at the top. Like I have the most context for Kutztown as a Kutztown student. Like when we first started, we were instantly D1 because of our boy technical. But there's something nice about seeing everybody come together and then rise the ranks. It looks like we are going to get started here with our match. If you're not familiar with how the Collegiate Karting League works, this is going to be 12 races. You cannot repick the same track more than one time. If you do, you will get a penalty. The team who wins will have the most points combined for their top 6 scores here. Looks like we're getting some interesting track picks here.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So one thing that's important to know is that New Mexico State is hosting. Because they're hosting, they get
Okay.
to start in first place. So they're picking Ninja Hideaway as their option. Meanwhile, Buena Vista has decided to counter pick with Mute City as their selection. And that's where we are going to be going into for this first race. What are your thoughts on this track?
Oh, I really enjoy this one. It can be difficult if you don't understand the ins and outs of it. I know there's a really good shortcut right at the end that you can do without without a mushroom, but actually doing it versus seeing it is a whole other like demon.
That is so true. It can be very difficult, but there are some great ways to go about it. And if you need to be safe, there's always the mushroom. I love seeing how both these players are immediately going for those coins over on that left side, immediately trying to establish that coin count and increase their top speed, because on a course like Mute City, having that top speed is incredibly important.
Yeah, I agree. Looks like both of our POVs here are just gonna be holding on to their shrooms, probably for that mentioned shortcut that I talked about earlier. Also getting their coin count up, super important here. We're gonna see that 6-4A, I believe, is gonna get into a nice early bit of a lead here. Meanwhile, Dead Zone's gonna take the back of the pack. Doesn't mean they're out by any stretch here. Yep, here we go for this shortcut. And now 6-4A is in first place with a very powerful item.
Yeah, and look at this. Dead Zone G4A immediately in these top spots so far. This is looking really good for Buena Vista, making the most out of this course selection here. And you are watching now, especially with Funky Kong on Mute City, you are getting so much speed from these boost panels, and it's really starting to
Mm.
run away a bit. And you're just watching now who's the guy, who are we getting? Because a lot of BVU are in these top spots, and there's even a super horde in fourth place for a potential blue shell.
Yeah, very good position for BVU to be in here. They can kind of defend the top of the pack here. It looks like Toffee has made their way up into second place, does dodge the horn here, and that's going to allow them to try to make some magic happen here as we get into our third lap already. Ooh, Ghost does steal the coin from Dead Zone, but that's exactly why they were holding on to it. And now we're going to start to see some things shift around depending on how the items are distributed, as it looks like a player did disconnect
Ooh.
possibly.
That is
Oh,
unfortunate. There is a disconnect there. Dead Zone also accidentally snipes himself there with that banana peel, but now G4A is in third place there with that fire, trying to make the play happen here. They are going to be able to get into this double box, having one red shell, having a green as well in their pocket. Never mind being taken out here. Looking over at Dead Zone, who has those triple shrooms to potentially take this cut. It is a New Mexico State top two at the moment, but Dead Zone has something to say about that. Triple greens coming out. Toffee in first for now, and there's a Shy Guy barely holding on so far, and that's a huge bomb play, and what a
oh my
finish. Looks
gosh.
like a 2-3-4 maybe from BVU.
Yeah, very good start for BVU here. Exactly what they wanted with this track pick, and they just kind of really showed their
Oh,
dominant like aggression here. Top two from New Mexico does give them a bit of a head start here, but scores are already so close. And this is exactly what we were talking about earlier with like you cannot discount either of these teams here.
yeah, and look at that. New Mexico State, despite getting top two, wasn't able to get the early lead so far
Yeah.
because Buena Vista just controlled like 3 through 7, it looks like. And really the mid-pack spots are really valuable here. Top two is always what you want to see, but like sometimes if you just get those mids, that's great. But we're going from one F-Zero course to another. We are going to Big Blue for race two.
Oh, I'm so excited. You very rarely see Big Blue. This is a big one for broken item sets that are on
Yes.
cannons. If you delay yourself enough into a set, you can get some pretty busted items without truly being behind when you're actually bagging. So we're going to see whether some people decide to bag or not here, right in the middle, as we get started here on Big Blue.
Yeah, and it's immediately interesting to see who's going to be going for like coins or who's going to be going for the fast path as well. You're seeing G4A and Dead Zone both push towards the side immediately. And this path here on Big Blue immediately starts to be pretty threatening between these teams. Just watching to see what's going to be happening, what's going to be shaking up. You see now G4A there with that Toad having a shroom, having a red. Dead Zone also having some shrooms here. There's a couple of cuts here, but really, we're going to be going into the second lap. And unfortunately, Dead Zone going to get hit out before the second section, but a lot of stuff already happening, it seems.
Yeah, a lot of mayhem going on going into the second lap here, but that doesn't mean anybody's exactly out because of that aforementioned cannon set. That can really shake some things up. Also, people know how to use the shortcut here as we see Toad gracefully
Oh,
demonstrate getting into a nice third place position. Dead Zone hot on their tail getting into 4 and 5 respectively. That is a really good spot for BVU to be in because they're at least 3, 4, 5. New Mexico player has snuck up into the top spots, but that doesn't exactly stop. And look at the items that they just pulled in 4th place, y'all.
yeah, that cannon set is notorious for doing that. As Dead Zone has a golden mushroom for a bit in second place and is gonna have quad reds. There's a blue shell
Oh.
also out in play. Oh, they're gonna get hit out here, but now
Oh.
NC from BB. Oh, and there's a shock in
Oh,
play as
dodge.
well. I don't know who all dodged, but what an interesting moment is setting up for a phenomenal last section.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about. I mean, this can really get shaken up in any direction here. We're going to see Dead Zone going for the cut here. Yep, does drift off beautifully. Meanwhile, G4A is going to have to fight their way to the top of the pack. Oh, does not get an item, which is unfortunate. However, Dead Zone just kind of coasts their way into second place. Deals with the boo here, and that's going to get them into a nice ninth. I think you could still be satisfied with that based on where you started, especially dodging that shock just set them up in a good position here. However, it looks like New Mexico did get at least 1 and 3, so that's going to shake things up and make the lead a little bit less obvious.
Yeah, it's really back and forth now as we went from -6 from New Mexico State to now New Mexico State up 6.
Yeah.
So that was a 12-point difference, and this is what we were expecting to see. These two teams just feel so evenly matched, and I'm so excited to see what we got going here because we got Ninja Hideaway and Squeaky Clean Sprint as our options.
Oh, I'm so excited. I love Squeaky Clean Sprint. I really hope that gets picked. That is like one of the most technical tracks that you can think of. However, it does pick Ninja Hideaway. Doesn't mean Ninja Hideaway is a bad track, don't get me wrong, but hopefully we do get to squeak a little bit later.
Hopefully we do. No, I won't lie. I am a Ninja Hideaway fan here, and I'm also really interested to see how Toffee does on this because Toffee has gone
Yeah.
first, I think, both races, and they
Mhm.
picked Ninja in first place to start the room. So we're gonna see potentially a running masterclass here. And on Ninja Hideaway, running can be pretty hard, at least not until the first opening cut here, because you're gonna see some people are gonna be able to shroom up, some are gonna try and take this cut shroomus, some are gonna argue for the coins here, as Toffee is going to go for a shroomus cut, unfortunately not hitting the wall and hitting the piranha plant instead.
That was a very like, you could tell exactly where they were going, and it still doesn't really stop them in their tracks, but, yeah, Toffee just kinda really strolling their way through the lobby. They're already getting a bit of a breakaway between 1st and 2nd place, which I believe 2nd place is, dead end. So, it's basically just like a dead zone, excuse me. Everybody is just kind of having a little bit of a stroll here. Going into lap 2, there's not a lot of people spinning out on the map or exactly doing much, but that means it's gonna set up New Mexico to just kind of start really running away here.
Yeah, and you can tell New Mexico State is pretty comfortable on this track 'cause it looks like they're at least top 2. Not sure who the peach is here, but
Yeah.
you loving that usage of the green shell, unfortunately hitting the plant again, but there's still a good top 2, and you can tell that New Mexico State's fundamentals are at least just there, because even with some, like, driving errors here, they're able to make the most of it and really make up for with their great play here, and now we're going over to BVU, seeing what they got going here in the second lap.
It looks like we're getting some more powerful items coming in the middle of the pack based on how far away New Mexico's started pulling with their items. Going into the 3rd lap here, Dead Zone's gonna get their triples out, and unfortunately G4A does fall off the edge, but that's alright, you know, it's still fine a lap to get things done here. Bluebird does go out of the field. That's going to mess with the traction a little bit. And we do see Dead Zone kind of taking some less than optimal lines to try to work around it. Are they going to go? Does not opt to go for the shortcut either, but that may have been a smarter move because now they're out of harm's way as they get into the straightaway here.
Yeah, going to top path as well. I think they were able to dodge that red shell coming their
Yeah.
way from that, which is actually pretty ingenious here. They are going to be able to get a couple item boxes as well. And there's a blue shell coming out here. The question is, with Toffee finishing this race, who is that blue shell targeting at this point here? Dead Zone and Parker are going to be at least 3-4 from BVU. And then we're just going to watch the rest of this pack really unravel here and see who's going to be able to get these last spots here. And what be great bullet pull from G4A.
Yeah,
I'd be
nice.
able to get it in 11th.
Very much a masterclass from Toffee here. They knew exactly what they wanted to do with Ninja Hideaway, pulled it in first, and just absolutely let it rip. They're on pace for 180, by the way, which that would be a very magical experience, I think.
It would be. I don't want to jinx it yet, but if we get to like the race 9 point and that's still on the table, that will be a legendary
Dang.
moment to happen on prime time as well.
Oh,
But really, after
absolutely.
that, there's only a plus 2 point difference as we get Squeaky
Ooh.
Clean and Weibo coming up now too.
Interesting track picks here. Really just depends where your mid pack is and what they're comfortable playing on. It looks like we are going to Squeaky Clean Sprint. This track can really make or break your race. If you don't know how to adjust to the water physics inside the pipes and underneath the actual like tub part, you can start really breaking away if you do know how to do that. Also, by the way, I see multiple inward players. Very excited about that.
Say there's some great setups here. You don't get to see all of these very often, but that's kind of like the beauty of it here. Who's going to be able to make the most of their driving and just really showcase what makes their own play that good here. Immediately starting to see these players go into the water section, already having some shrooms in play as well. The pack is so far very close, and then this pipe, especially, this can be really chaotic.
Yeah, as people start pulling items and trailing, yep, a lot of things are starting to fly by G4As. He does get into 7th place here. Meanwhile, Dead Zone holding on to this nice 4th place, uses the Shroom for the soap cut, and is now going to be in 3rd. That sets up a good position here for BVU to be in 2-3-4. However, Toffee is still up there fighting the man's fight.
Oh yeah, and there's a bomb also being sniped up, and that connected on the left side of
Oh,
our screen as Mr. H5 with a huge play, getting rid of one BVU member there, and there's quite a few of BVU starting to make their way back now, as it does look like the NMSU, the Aggies, with now their Shy Guy player up in the top spots. Let's see what happens, but this pack is still pretty close.
yeah, New Mexico kind of biding their time,
Oh,
knowing that they do not have to. Oh my goodness! A bomb goes off there. Exactly, run forward is going to start trading them really well as they do get up into most of these top spots here. A little bit of a misinput from Dead Zone, but that's all right. He does have a shroom to take the cut. Meanwhile, G4A has gotten themselves into 6th place, opting to hold onto their mushroom. And it looks like, yeah, double shroom here. It's not exactly optimal, but that's all right. Dead Zone just going to opt. Yep, both of them opt to take the top path here, staying on the glider. Oh, does fall though. Unfortunate. Maybe a little bit of not too aware of the track, but that's all right. You know, we learn each and every day with the mistakes that we make.
for sure, yeah, and you can tell that at this point, it's still a bit of a learning experience, but that's what makes this so good now. Because you're watching NMSU here in top two, BVU trying to hold on to their tail here. The pack is starting to unravel a bit more as well. So a lot of items are going to be potentially coming into play here. Wondering if a potential shock is going to be into play, especially as we go into this last item set.
Yeah, anything can really be possible here. We see a Fire Flower being pulled in 3rd. Bomb does miss Dead Zone back in 9th place, so that's going to allow them to start running forward. Oh, does connect Fire. Oh, but I think it connects onto a teammate. That's unfortunate. Does get 2nd place out of that. New Mexico, I believe, did get 1st as well.
I think Toffee got first
Um,
again, which, yeah, Toffee
yeah,
getting first again, and
you really cannot
134
count
from New
them
Mexico
out.
State. You really cannot. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
just some masterclass, honestly.
New Mexico starting to really find their footing here, making the gap just that much wider with each race. You know, if you're a Beaver fan, you're getting a little worried, you're getting a little stressed, but this is still really anyone's game. It's still close. Like it doesn't feel as close as it used to be, but all things considered, that's still a very small margin to play around. Oh, Wild Woods, yes.
And going off your point about it being close, neither of these teams have really played in close games. Like almost every single
Yeah.
game for them has been in like over 100 points. So seeing them in this with like the tension really high up, I think this is where you're gonna see like some of the best really being brought up for these players. And we're going to Wee Rainbow Road, longest course in the game. A lot can happen on this track.
This is where some carnage is really gonna start flowing. Getting started here momentarily. Or on Toffee's perspective also, seeing if they can keep it on. Also, I believe they switched onto Teddy Buggy.
Yeah, I forget. I think they were on Scooty Old getting
I think they're on
green
Scooty,
sniped
yeah.
immediately. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that's rough for Toffee, but we've seen Toffee do it before, and there's a lot of coins on this track, different ways to catch up here with some items and some good driving. Let's see what happens here the rest of the way and seeing what they pull at this item set, and Mila just getting some shrooms.
okay. You know, shrooms aren't exactly what you want to see on Wee Rainbow Road. It's so long. There's not really that many shortcuts that you can effectively use shrooms on, as we see the gorgeous Nisk demonstration here getting Toffee up into 5th place. Just kind of, yeah, burning the shrooms, opting to hold on to at least one of them here going into the set. New Mexico dominating a lot of the top of the lobby here going into the next set.
Yeah, and NC from BVU holding on the first for now at least, but look, Sweet and Toffee right behind their tail. A lot of different ways to
Mm,
potentially get rid of this first place player, and look at how far this pack is starting to develop. We're in the range of potentially Blue Shell, potentially Shock to maybe change up this entire game. But let's look like NMSU is in a 2-3-4 situation at least.
yeah, this is a really good spot.
Ooh.
Oh, unfortunate. It does get back there. Fire also causing Toffee to swerve out a little bit, throws the screen up, does connect on a 4th place, getting them back into 5th. However, oh, looks like Reds did crack on each other from a
Ooh,
triple,
what a
yet
star
spams the
pull.
star here. Oh, and does hit out a BVU player. Just absolute masterclass here. Toffee did not panic, and it really treated them well. Another gorgeous Nisk here as the blooper comes out, but that's not even going to matter because we're going into a cannon here. And it looks like we're going to cycle for some items momentarily, but look at who's in 1st place.
Yeah, got a Mario player up in first place, and we know that at least it's a Shy Guy in second here, so that is NMSU in a minimum 2-3 situation, having quite a few different players up in top, and you're watching this pack just really start to unravel again now, and
Mhm.
NMSU Toffee still has that red shell in third place, but they have a teammate in second. Moving over now, we got
Oh,
Dead Zone in fourth, and G4A here in ninth. A lot of stuff is set to play, especially in lap 3.
looks like as the pack gets a little bit more unraveled, the starting to get a bit more chaotic as both of our perspectives have a golden shroom in 5 and 10 respectively. Do not see that every day. Dead Zone's just going to try to anchor here, keep their 5th place position, or work a little bit further. Pulls a golden and a star. Looks like G4A picks, yeah, a lot of shrooms, which is terrible, but not great either. Another blooper comes out, and a little bit of a misinput there. Unfortunate for G4A, excuse me. And we're gonna go through the glider here. Meanwhile, our Mario player has just kept their lead, and they are absolutely just wiping the floor with everything. This might be the end of Toffee's run here. Blue Shell does also come out from the 12th place player, but it is very far away.
Yeah, I don't know who that might actually lock on to Dead Zone here in 4th at this point here. They have a golden mushroom, so they can't dodge it. So we see a golden mushroom dodge a blue shell. Don't see that all the time, but that's actually gonna change up the spots a little bit. We're gonna have to see this results screen and see what happened. But BVU, NC,
Nice for
one of the best
NC.
players in the league. Yeah, great stuff here from them.
Yeah, that was a really basically like another masterclass situation, but on the other side, that's gonna pull the gap between the teams closer once again. You cannot keep your eye off of either of these heavy hitter players because it really is anyone's game. New Mexico going into it still has a bit of a lead, but it is not as comfortable as they want to be. You also see the new track coming out here is DK Mountain, another very like high skill track.
Yeah, it is
Wild
very high
Woods.
skilled. Going to Wild Woods though, good track here for top spots. Gotta have a chance to see what does BBU do now in a running position. And I'm thinking that's good. This is where they're probably really comfortable at because they've been so dominant in their season thus far. So now that they have a chance to be in first place, let's see what happens here. As look at this character diversity. I am absolutely loving
Oh,
this.
this is so excellent. You absolutely love to see it. Going into the first item set here, looks like we have a lot of mid-pack representation on our stream setups, and yeah, both of them pull shrooms. It's a little bit too early for anything super crazy to come out. Triple Nanas does connect onto 3 players pretty much simultaneously, sending G4A to the back here, but that allows them to get a double as Dead Zone unfortunately does fall off the track.
Yeah, unfortunate there, but there's definitely some ways to catch up here, at least getting your coin count up and making the most out of your item play here. Having G4A now in 6th place as well, and a few items starting to move their way around so far. G4A is going to have the potential to take the shortcut there with that mushroom, able to sneak up into a few spots. Just looking at this now between here, we got Toffee in 1st place, and does look like a few of New Mexico State has made their way up into like top 3 at least.
Yeah, right. Shell goes out to hit 2nd place, but does connect with a trail, so no damage there. Meanwhile, Dead Zone's just kind of taking their 12th place position, kind of maybe staying back, you know, keeping an eye on who is all back there, because some of New Mexico is back there also. G4A, meanwhile, just kind of anchoring their 3rd place position. They're not really going to be able to break into whatever Toffee and their teammate are doing, but they don't exactly have to either, as we saw with our first race. Mid-pack points are honestly just as important as 1st place.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And there's still potential for a blue shell. There's a bomb snipe going up onto Cherry, and it does connect. G4A with a great play here, and Parker from Buena Vista moving up as well. So 2-3 at least for Buena Vista, as Dead Zone also fighting their way up into like a 5th place position. A lot of BVU behind 1st place.
Oh, this is absolutely perfect. This is what they needed here. Going into the glider here, you have a lot of shells. Unfortunately, does connect on a Dead Zone without their shells connecting, but they're going to be able to start throwing these up at New Mexico to hopefully get some damage done. Meanwhile, G4A just kind of keeping their 4th place position here. Oh, only pulls a single red. That's going to be a little unfortunate. Does block a red of their own, though. And that's going to kind of end their race. Meanwhile, Dead Zone not out yet by any stretch. Going to use these shrooms here as well as a start. Oh my gosh, no. What just happened? The blue.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe we just saw that. That's unfortunate there. Parker getting hit by the blue shell near the
Top
line.
2, 4, 5 for
G4A
New
hitting that.
Mexico.
And New Mexico State capitalizing on that. That's turned from what could have been a huge BBU race, getting everything behind 1st, to New Mexico State having a dominant race with like 4 of the top 5.
Oh, that's so heartbreaking because like at the end of the day, you can try to swerve all you want, but there are just some parts of tracks that you just cannot move away from a blue shell, and unfortunately, we did see that here. Toffee also going to switch back on his Scooty now as their team is picking DK Mountain. Gonna get a look at the other track pick momentarily here. Any predictions?
That's what I'm wondering to see as well, because I've seen some awesome stuff here. And oh, okay, Yoshi's Island. Now, this is
Ooh,
a track
what
we
a
don't see very
treat!
often. It Really, this would be a great pick here because Yoshi's Island is such a standout pick in this scene, and just having a chance because there's so
And he
much
got
that can go
picked!
right here, and there's also so much that can go wrong on Yoshi's Island, but that's the beauty of the course. With that last
Oh,
cloud,
absolutely.
that matters so much near the end.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen teams who will strategically not hit the cloud, hold on to their shrooms, and just shroom up anyway. So there is a lot that goes into this relatively simplistic track here.
That's so true here. Now, this course generally favoring like the middle spots because there's opportunities to shroom up, opportunities to draft as well. And it's kind of hard to establish a front run right away. But you do look at NMSU still holding on to a lot of tops so far. And they're going to be able to get into these item sets here and see what we got
Oh
going
no.
rest of the way. Unfortunate there. But Toffee is going to have a chance to potentially run and unfortunately running into that trail from Cherry on their own end. But still a lot of different ways you can play this track. So first lap might not mean too much in the end.
Yeah, Yoshi's Island really just is not a runner, it's not a bagger either. It's kind of like an any man can win in any position, and we're probably gonna see that happen with Toffee momentarily here as they go for the cloud, and yep, somebody in front of them hits it, so that's going to open up the shortcut here. Opting to hold on to these triple shrooms as we go into the next lap. They're already back in 8th place from the 12th place that they fell to, so oh, and I casters cursed them, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, unfortunate there, but it happens. And now you're gonna see Toffee here with triple greens immediately throwing them out there. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
connecting as well. Able to get into this double item box and pulling triple greens once again. Sweet right in front of them with triple bananas. So a lot of triples in this mid pack and a lot of New Mexico State really in here. But the Mario is in
Mhm.
first place, meaning that BVU is holding on to tops. I think they're maybe in a top three.
They're yeah, definitely top 3 there, possibly even top 4. Going into this set here, it looks like somebody has already activated the
Oh,
clouds, they don't worry about it, however, Toffee does get trailed out, and blue is out. That could shake up things here for BBU as they are in 3 and 2 on our stream perspective and first place with the Mario player. Do they dodge? Looks like no, but they did take it wide so that their teammates can get into top 2. We love the sportsmanship there.
now we love that coordination there, knowing that okay, I'm losing first place, but I'm going to have let's give you guys a chance to go there. And look at this, it's still top three from BVU.
Oh
It's
my gosh,
G4A
yeah.
Parker Dead Zone here, where they're just mashing their fire just to get it away from this pack. And now just trying to see what we're going to be able to do here. Dead Zone going to be able to shroom into this cut as well.
Oh
Actually,
no.
this looks like maybe a top four from BVU.
Yeah, a little bit of a misinput from Dead Zone, but that doesn't even really matter that much because of how
What's caught?
dominant the performance is from their teammates here. Oh, unfortunately, G4A does miss the cloud, so that might shake
Everyone's
things
missing
up
the cloud.
slightly. Oh my gosh. Okay, everyone is missing it
Wait, Dead
except Dead
Zone?
Zone, who does hit it. However, that does allow G4A to get into a nice first place position. Holding on to this red here, yep, and we get a 4th for BBU as well. That could have been disastrous, but they get 1, 2, 4 off of that.
Yeah,
So,
top two, four,
all
six.
things
That's
considered,
good
pretty
here.
solid.
Yeah, pretty solid indeed. And now BVU is starting to claw their way back into this. And we knew this matchup was going to be close, at least the closest match we've
Oh,
seen so
absolutely.
far in D6. Only 20 points. We've seen comebacks happen in much bigger proportions before, so I couldn't count BVU out just yet.
Yeah, really. I know we're going into the end of the second Grand Prix here, but there is no clear-cut winner, and I think that's just what makes this so beautiful to witness with you right now, as we're looking at our track selection screen to see what Buena Vista is going to pick now.
Ooh.
This is gonna be so good.
This is actually oh yeah, we're going to Waluigi Stadium. Now, this is a very demanding course in terms of
Mm.
your driving skill. And now it's a matter of seeing like really who just drives this track better because you can win this track in a couple different ways. If you're able to take the Shroomless cut very often, especially from lap two on, you break away. But in lap one, it's a matter of like who takes that first mushroom cut there in that same spot. So this first item set's going to be very telling and just seeing who's going to be able to make the most out of their driving on each side so far.
Looks like G4A did get a first place box, so they pull a coin, which has been unfortunate. However, if they know that Shroomless cut, they are not out of it by any stretch. Dead Zone does pull a Shroom here, gonna go, yep, for the Shroom cut and just kind of hug the wall here, getting into a second place. And it looks like our perspectives have now switched a little bit.
Does look like they've switched indeed. Yeah, Toffee back in first place, a familiar spot for
Mhm.
them. Dead Zone right behind in second. And there's quite a few members getting hit out in the mid pack as you see on G4A's end now. And now you're going to see Dead Zone with double reds. Very strong items set to be having here, but they're going to have one get canceled out by another red in third.
Oh, unfortunate. And oh, now they're a little bit defenseless here. But you know what? It's all right. We're still in lap 2 territory here. Meanwhile, G4A is just gonna kind of hold on to their triple shrooms here, knowing that big shortcut is coming up, and Dead Zone's gonna pull triple shrooms of their own because of Toffee's, yeah, pretty decent breakaway
Oh,
here. It looks like another track that Toffee is very familiar with and is just gonna start styling on everybody.
oh my gosh, yeah, Toffee is breaking away on this course. And it looks like NC has moved up in the second and G4A is in third. There's actually a 2 through
Oh
5
wow,
maybe
yeah.
potentially from BVU.
Oh no!
No stealing from G4A. It's so cool getting to see that like in the moment now. But it's like now with a matter of like what's gonna be happening here? Are we even playing for
Oh,
first?
shot
Potential
dodge!
dodges in second place. Huge play here, and they have a shroom in second as well.
Oh, this is absolutely what they needed. That gap is pretty much obliterated here as Dead Zone does get into the first place, holding onto that mushroom. Gonna be very telling whether they take the shroomless cut or hold onto this for
Oh,
a
that red.
blue shell. Oh, does get hit by a red, but that's okay. You know, we're still a bit of a lead here, still in first place. Spams the shroom, and oh my gosh, Toffee is back up here once again. Oh, unfortunate, does not know about the shroomless cut. That's gonna send them spiraling back into the mid pack as G4A is hot on their tail, but does get trailed.
I get hit out by Cherry. It looked like with those triple greens in like fourth or fifth place at this point. There's no item here from Dead Zone. Toffee is still in first place with a bit of a break now. He's going to be able to get into that last item set as well. Cherry in third. NC in like sixth place here. A lot of pack play now to see who's going to be able to clinch these spots because every spot is going to matter. G4A having triple greens. Dead Zone going to be able to clinch second place. G4A probably going to be able to hit third. And that's looking like a 2-3-4 from
3-3-4.
BVU.
Possibly even 2-3-4-5. Nope. All right, they snuck right in there, but 2-3-4-6. You are very happy if you're Buena Vista here. That was absolutely insane. Seeing the ghost pull from the other POV and then dodge with the item they pulled, that is just truly special.
Truly special indeed. That's not often you get to see that play, and I think that was an even race because we're still at the 20-point mark now, and
Oh
we're going
wow,
into
yeah.
this last Grand Prix, and it's only 20 points between both these teams, and unfamiliar territory for a little bit. I know New Mexico State does have one close result against Auburn, but BVU, this is their first time within 100 points, and also their first time trailing, I think, ever.
Oh wow, yeah. Looks like we are going to DK Mountain here. We're getting a lot of the really like skill heavy tracks, and it is just
Yes.
absolutely delightful to see how everybody plays on them. Toffee already at 110, by the way, is crazy.
The Toffee was averaging like 150 going into this, which is legendary status indeed. Really contending with some of the best we've ever seen in CKL. But DK Mountain can kind of change up a lot of things here. There's another cannon set, which is going to really change how the item roulette is going to be played. And really, you're going to see some crazy items but in like lap 2 and 3. This, the course, is notorious for early shocks and early blue shells.
Mhm. Yeah, this could really be anyone's race here. You kind of want to start in the mid pack. However, you see Dead Zone and a G4A just kind of holding on to their first and third place respectively here. Getting a lot of defense on the field is pretty solid. And yeah, it just looks like kind of getting their coin count up, making sure they are ready to go here. Oh, unfortunately, it does connect with the boulder, so they're going to get tumbling down into, looks like 8th or even 9th place. Oh, and gets hit again. However, oh, it looks like, yeah, Dead Zone opting for coins here, meanwhile, not going for the shrimp cut. I mean, the shortcut, excuse me. But I mean, it didn't even matter because they're still in first place. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, actually, they're able to kind of build up their coin economy here, which is actually kind of ingenious. They had that much of a break that the cut wouldn't really matter for them. As you do see that Dead Zone's still in first place, having a banana, having a coin in pocket, G4A in sixth there. Now also having some shrooms, and you're really wondering what are the items being pulled in the back half here now.
Yeah.
As you see, these players are really starting to like make a big gap at this point, especially with that cannon really helping out, and already having a star now in the mid pack from G4A.
Yeah, this is going to start really shaking some things up here. Yep, bomb goes off, does not connect with anything. And we're going to go into these next set here. Hopefully getting a double? Oh, it goes for a single, but that's all right. Looks like G4A is
Oh,
going
good
to
green.
get hit, so he doesn't take the cut. That's so unfortunate. Had his shroom ready to go. Oh, does burn it and gets a little bit of a miss input there. That is not what they want to see. Meanwhile, the dead zone still very
Oh,
confident with that
blue
first place. However,
shell.
I spoke too soon because a blue shell is on the field, does connect, and that allows New Mexico to get up into that first and second place position that they so desperately needed going into the cannon set here.
Now they're top 2-4 here. Now we got to see Toffee now. What's going to be happening here? There's the shock. We knew it
Shock!
was going to be coming in, and that's going to take, I think, maybe at least first and second, maybe out of the set, or at least first place here. And now it's a
Yeah.
matter of fact of seeing what is Buena Vista going to be doing to respond. I don't know how many dodges they had back there, but it's going to be a matter of seeing what's going to be happening in this mid pack. Top three so far from NMSU. There's Dead Zone in the mid pack as well. Parker moving up into these mid spots here, and a lot of NMSU and a lot of BVU just in this last section.
Just absolute carnage going off here as we get into the final item set. Oh, unfortunately, Toffee does set themselves up incorrectly for the cut here, but does use the fire to try and hit out a lot of Buena Vista and is successful here, getting out their triple shells as they go onto the bridge section, connecting onto NC almost, but does not. Sorry, my stream is a little bit choppy here. Toffee does pull it back with the fourth place, but that was very scary going into the cut. I cannot lie.
That was what wow, a lot of mid
Whoa,
spots
wow.
there. That does a lot in terms of just being able to get that, especially because New Mexico State also did get first place in rank
Mm.
1-4, so that should be really good here for NMSU going into race 10, and that's really a very chaotic ending, which is prototypical for a DK Mountain, but a lot of stuff just happened there, and immediately going into Hyrule
Oh,
Circuit
two
for
runners.
NMSU and BVU here, we're going with Sunshine Airport.
This is interesting. I'm hoping to see honestly between the two of these, I want to see Sunshine Airport, but I'd be fine with either of them. Hyrule specifically has a lot more skill checking involved, and we've seen that New Mexico can already prove themselves on those tracks. So I want to see what they do on a very relatively simple track. Maybe it'll tough them up a little bit, you know.
Maybe, yeah, like, we've been seeing a lot of, like, really tech-heavy tracks here, and Sunshine is one of the more simpler ones, but we are going to
Here we
see it, and
go.
it really now comes down to, like, item play, I think, here, and just, like, the fundamentals, which you really see a lot of great stuff in terms of the driving from both of these teams. So, being able to just make it come down to, like, fundamental Mario Kart at its truest form almost, is gonna be really interesting, especially with 3 races left to go. There is a lead now for NMSU, but who knows here? BBU can respond right away with this track.
Into the first item set here, unfortunately, Toffee does get screened, but there's a lot of coins and shrooms on the field for the mid pack here. Gonna kind of cement this fourth place position. Going up into third as a red does trail out a teammate, I believe. And now they're gonna, yeah, opt for the double because they didn't have an item in the first place. Falling back into third and immediately trailing out G4A. That gets New Mexico into first and third, respectively, but G4A is still in it.
Yeah,
Or
really
it's, that's
immediately in
dead
it there.
zone.
Oh, yeah, because of the split screen. So that
Yeah.
is Dead Zone in first place, but it looks like a lot of NMSU still right behind, Mickle in second, NC in third, though.
Oh.
So definitely some different ways that this could change up, and a few change ups immediately there as NC is in first, Toffee in second.
Yeah, that was not really that expected. It looks like a lot of items went out and did
Oh,
connect,
the
and it looks like,
trail!
oh, immediate trail. That is gorgeous for MC. That's gonna put them right into a good first place position here. A bit of a gap as well as a lot of Buena Vista starts filling in behind them here. Meanwhile, Toffee's just gonna hold on to their items here as well as a nice fourth place position. Yeah, gonna burn the shroom with a little bit of a grass. Unfortunate touch there. But that doesn't mean they're out by any stretch, and Sweet Tea is right with them, so they can start really, getting some good item play going on here as they go into the double.
Yeah, and Mr. H5 on the Shy Guy has worked their way up in the first place as well. So G4A or Dead Zone is in second place, and then Parker in third. So it's a bit of a mix smash of spots so far. 2, 3 from BVU and MSU with a few tops as well. So a lot could be changing up here, especially with whatever items are being pulled in these most important sets.
Oh, for sure. Looks like, G4A is gonna hold on to opts to burn the shrooms here to go for a different item in ninth place. Meanwhile, gonna hold his red in third place as it looks like Yeah, teammate has gotten into second, that is Parker. Oh, does get fired off the glider, and it's gonna get readied as soon as they land. That is unfortunate for G4A, but that's gonna allow their other teammates to start climbing forward, so, sometimes you gotta tank some hits. Dead Zone, meanwhile, does get into something, unfortunately, because the blooper is going to back a bomb, but it does not connect onto the right, and that's gonna start sending them tumbling down. That is not what Buena Vista needed, as a lot of New Mexico just kind of
Oh
slides right in
my
front.
god.
It's track dodge, though, and I don't think
Yeah,
it really shook
crazy
anything up.
sequence.
Holy
Yeah,
crow,
I
what
think
an
yeah.
ending.
Whoa. Oh my gosh, New
Oh,
Mexico
holy
State, 1, 3, 4,
NMSU.
5.
Ooh.
That could be a dagger to maybe if that
Mhm.
doesn't win the race outright for them yet, but it will make things very difficult here for BVU going into this last few races here. Yeah, they're down now quite a bit at this point.
Ooh.
Definitely there's still a chance to bring it back here. I've seen stuff happen here. I've seen 50 points
Oh,
be
split pick.
erased in 2 races, but interesting picks so far. We get the Hyrule and the Gold Mine actually, and as well as a Dragon Driftway. Some interesting selections from both teams.
I like seeing a lot of, like, not exactly base game, 'cause Hyrule's not base game, but just, like, some tracks that aren't usually as represented here. Looks like we're gonna go to Wario's Gold Mine. This is not one you see every day.
And it's actually incredibly dynamic now because of the
Mhm.
different weight classes in this room. There's a lot of bumping that's going to happen within these draft sections, and that is actually going to be very telling of what's going to happen because you think back to like Mario Kart Wii, and the bumping there is very significant. You're going to get a very like slight version of that here because the drafts here on Goldmine, especially these opening sections with these boost panels and the pack play, this is really going to tell what's going to happen here and just really set up the tone for really the entire race.
Oh, for sure. We see a lot of people go tumbling off the edge right as you were discussing that. Meanwhile, it looks like Dead Zone is going to hold onto a shroom here, getting into 5th place. G4A getting up into 4th. Yep, gonna let that green shell go. Doesn't look like it connects on anything, but you know what? That's all right. Looks like a lot of BVU in the top of the pack here. Yeah, pretty much everybody is just in mid or top spots. So this is a very strong showing for Buena Vista going into lap 2. This is really what they need to start coming back.
Yeah, Buena Vista is in like a top 4 about to be or almost top 4 situation right now. NC
Yeah, this
leading the
is
way in
wild.
first place, and then G4A in second. So definitely a lot of great spots here. Toffee starting to fight their way up, and what a trail from Dead Zone onto Mr. H5. This is setting up for a potentially big Buena Vista race if this result holds out in the end of this race.
Looks like we're gonna trap the double here, and it does connect on
Oh,
a Toffee. That is a gorgeous play from G4A. And that's gonna allow Dead Zone to get into 4th place, and it looks like, yeah, now we're just gonna kind of start trailing items, trying to hit out Toffee in vain here, who does have fire, throwing it backwards, but does not connect on anything. Has to get out of the way of this bill, and now it looks like Dead Zone's really feeling it with the lack of coins here as they fall back into 9th place. Only 2 coins,
yeah.
and a blue shell is out on the field. How is this going to...
Oh, and it hits G4A. Hits G4A and it's going to be hitting NC, it looks like. Yeah, so this is going to
Mhm.
maybe cut down into the lead. The pack is starting to become very close at this point. Dead Zone having triple shrooms. Mickle also having fire in this mid pack. A lot of item play is going to be starting to happening here. And G4A is still holding on to these red shells for dear life. As you're seeing a lot of plays starting to be made here in this mid pack.
Looks like we're gonna burn the triple shrooms pretty much immediately, trying to get away from the fire. Very good play here. Yep, does get away from it before it can connect here. Meanwhile, G4A just kind of... Oh! Shock comes out on the field, and that's gonna get a lot of people after set in the front of the pack. Meanwhile, Dead Zone does get a triple green here. May be able to do some carnage. Oh, but does get planted! It's unfortunate, just kind of throwing the fire to the wayside here. Connects with a lot of people, but... Oh, no.
Good Zone getting Mario Karted. That's so unfortunate there. And that shot was kind of devastating, actually, because that went from a
Yeah.
significant BVU race to maybe NMSU clinching off that. Yeah, that's an even race, and that does mean NMSU
Mhm.
takes it.
That is so unfortunate. It really came down to that final item set. That shock coming out just totally wrecked their plans. You can't really exactly plan for a shock per se, but getting so much of your people into top spots and then immediately losing all of your items and just being at the mercy of the mid pack was really put on display there. There's just nothing that you could do.
Oh, yeah,
Hopefully at
especially
this
in
point we're
like
gonna
hot
see
three.
them shorten the gap here with the between the teams.
Oh, yeah, for sure here. Whereas we're going into Hyrule's Circuit, which is a track which is really good here, especially for top spots, but you can also make some plays happen in those middle sections as well with mushrooms and the rest of your items there. Take a
Mm.
couple of notable shortcuts here. So it's a matter of seeing like who's going to be able to establish front running presence because Hyrule is typically defined by the ending Shroomless shortcut.
Oh yeah, if people are able to do it, depending on which team they're on, they can either make this gap between the points even worse, or they can make it a little bit closer. Going for the coins here, pretty much immediately for Dead Zone, that is a very good idea here. However, it does burn the shroom almost immediately, so they are unable to take the cut. Going to draft up and just kind of get out of the way of some red shells here. Getting into 8th place. Unfortunately, G4A does get trailed out and sent to the back of the pack as well, and this is not looking well for Buena Vista going into the next item set here.
Yeah, so far not great for our stream POVs at this point now, but NC from BVU is in first place. It looks like as you look out on the mini map, the Mario
Oh
holding
yeah.
it down at this point. And a lot of these players are opting to go for the item set here because there really wasn't a lot of items at this point now. And now it's going to be shifting to see who's going to be able to make the most out of these plays so far. You do see Dead Zone moving on up, able to use that red shell, is going to hit out Mr. H5 potentially. And this looks like it might shake up for but maybe a top 3 at this point for BVU with a beautiful draft. And
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
BVU top 3.
And 5. That is absolutely gorgeous here. Does get redded out, but that's all right for the setup here. Looks like Mr. H5 is going to get into 3rd place. Meanwhile, switching over to Toffee's perspective, they're on Daisy now rather than Peachette, and they're just kind of keeping themselves centered in the mid pack here. Gonna go for the Shroomless cut. Oh, nope, opting to use a Shroom instead, which is fine. Gonna get them into 4th place as the blooper comes out. Yep, and going to connect that plant pretty much immediately, getting up into 3rd place here. Looks like New Mexico is in at least 2 and 3. However, Mario, our star of the show here for Buena Vista, just trying in vain to keep that 1st place. But now that the pack is a little bit more
Or the blue
unraveled, that
shell.
might be harder to do. Oh, and the blue.
Yeah, it's a matter of seeing what do they have up there. Do they have anything up there in the top spots potentially? And it doesn't look like they do, as this is going to lead to an
Mm.
NMSU. And what a lot of trails happening there, as now NMSU has made
Oh
themselves into a
no.
top 3 situation. And this looks like this should be it now. The game is already decided now, but it does look like the NMSU is going to have a pretty dominant race here to win this game, clinch it, and then keep their undefeated season alive.
Yeah, beautiful showing here from New Mexico. Just able to use those items as efficiently as possible, not trailing each other out, but at the same time getting some maximum carnage here as they get 1, 2, 3, and 5. Unfortunately, is not enough for Buena Vista to kind of get the gap between the teams just that little bit shorter, but that does crown New Mexico as our winner here. And Toffee once again dominating the lobby with a 149. They cannot catch this man.
They cannot catch Toffee indeed. And it's so crazy to think about it, but 149 is slightly below average for Toffee, who's been putting up insane numbers this entire
Yeah.
matchup and it's this entire season. And that's like absolutely insane. Just like an incredible play from New Mexico State as a whole, but also great stuff we saw from Buena Vista.
Oh yeah, I mean, it sucks to be sent home if you're Buena Vista, like your run for like an undefeated season is over, but there's nothing to really be upset about going into that match. That was just absolutely gorgeous playing. Everybody did super well, and I'm so glad we were able to take you on this journey with us tonight.
Yeah, and this journey isn't even over yet. Coming up, we got Around the
Yeah.
Super Horn. We got a bit of a analyst show here featuring some members of the CKL scene. And then after that, we got a Division One matchup between the University of Michigan and the University of Oklahoma. We got some content still going on the rest of this night. But Sunset, it's an absolute pleasure casting with you. And I just want to thank you again for hopping on the mic here with me.
And thank you for having me. Don't you dare touch that dial as we go to a quick break to get to our next portion of the stream here. Have a good evening, guys.